Welcome to this week's Forex forecast for the week ending August 30th, 2024. Today we're talking about the DXY, the euro, the pound, the euro versus the Canadian dollar, and also gold. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump right into it here with the DXY, the US dollar index. And clearly, the US dollar has been incredibly weak here over the past few weeks, going back to July. And that's really accelerated, though, over the past week or so, ever since the breakdown below the bottom of this channel that we've talked about. Okay, so if you'll remember back here, we had this channel from the DXY going up here toward the March 2023 high. Okay, so we had this movement from the US dollar index, and that failure to climb above 106.50 is really where all of this started. So it started to look relatively heavy through here. We got the breakdown from this trend line, and ever since then now we have a breakdown from this ascending channel. Okay, so this right here, right through here was a breakdown of this entire structure that we've seen since early 2023. Now, going forward, okay, and this kind of highlights too the fact that markets love symmetry. That's something that we talk about a lot on this channel, and that brings me to my next point. Okay, so first of all, we had the DXY testing this low from back here in December of 2023. So this is going to be a critical area for the DXY next week to where we could see some strength for the US dollar. However, knowing that markets love symmetry and also knowing that the DXY is below the bottom of that previous channel, we have a new channel, okay, here off of these highs up here. So you can see all these highs through here. We've got this one and this low, okay? So knowing that markets love symmetry and also knowing that we've seen several breakdowns here over the past few weeks, we do have an area down here around 99.6 that is a confluence of support because it would complete this channel here. So if I draw this out, right, we know that the market just broke down from that larger ascending channel. Now we have this descending channel here that could complete over the coming days and potentially next week with how aggressive this move has been. Okay, so something like this here before we get a more significant bounce from the DXY. That would also satisfy to retest the low from 2023, potentially even sweeping this area down here before we get dollar strength. Now, with that said, though, in my opinion, you really don't want to be shorting the US dollar through here until we get a sustained break below this low from back here in December of last year. Okay, so right around 100.6, that is going to be key support going into next week. If you are trying to short the US dollar through here, in my opinion, you're really playing with fire because this is still going to be a significant support area as we start next week. So a sustained break below this opens up that area right around 99.6, down toward about 99.4. And alternatively, if we see the market move back in here inside of this range, okay, next week inside of here, then that would be bullish for the US dollar up there toward 100.9 to 102.4. So next is the euro, which, no surprise with the DXY moving significantly lower, we are looking at a very aggressive rally here from the euro. And the market has now broken above two key areas. So first of all, we have a breaking above this channel right here. So you can see off of these lows, we did have an ascending channel where the market broke out here on this candle. We saw no retest here so far, which is something that we talked about this week. Okay, this area right around 110.50 up toward 110.60. We really haven't seen any retest here. That's how aggressive this rally has been. And now we have the market potentially closing above these highs right around 111.40. Okay, so if we get the euro closing above these highs back here, okay, so specifically this one, if we get a closing above here, this flips to support next week. And we're looking at the 2023 high up here, which is right around 1.13 potentially. Now, knowing that markets love symmetry, okay, very similar to the DXY, the inverse of the DXY essentially, we have the top of this channel, right? So you can see that off of these lows back here for the euro, we've got several lows through here. And this is where most people would just draw a trend line across here and leave it at that. And that's not wrong, but you can take it a step further and draw a parallel level off of highs like this up here. And you get an area that comes in here over the next few days up there toward 113, let's say 113.50. Now, on top of that, this also comes in very close to a channel that is best seen from the monthly time frame. So if we go toward the monthly, you can see that going all the way back here toward the 2009 high, we've got a channel here off of these highs that also comes into play somewhere in that region. So you can see this is anchored off of these lows. Again, this is the monthly time frame. So this area up here is going to be an incredibly strong resistance level that goes back decades, or at least over 1 decade. And if you look at the daily, this area comes in very close to the top of this ascending channel. So we have the top of this ascending channel up here. Okay, so toward the top of this red box. Then we've got this level right here, which is the top of that descending channel from 2009. So this entire area up here is going to be one to watch here for the euro. Now, I would certainly not try to short the market blindly from this area, but if we do get the DXY testing that 2023 low like I talked about, and we get some type of bearish price action up here in this area, then we could absolutely see a pullback here for the euro. But for now, as long as the market can hold above this area right back here, so if we draw this out and mark out a support area down here, right? So based on this high, right, this is going to be key support for the euro next week, 111.40 down to about 111.10 or so. And then resistance comes in up there around 112.75. So the pound is another one also breaking out here, an incredible rally ever since the low back here in August. And the market has built up in some incredible imbalances along the way too, just because we've seen some very limited retracements day in and day out. Now, looking at this market though, it is climbing above its 2023 high. So a little bit ahead of the euro in terms of that 2023 high. So this area back here, okay, is going to flip to new support next week. Okay, so right around the area, right around 130, 150 or so, should flip to support for the pound next week. Now, keep in mind too that if any of these levels fail, like for the pound or the euro, and we do see these markets next week closing back below these, then it would represent a fake out for these markets. So in other words, if the pound can't hold above this area back here next week, and we see it close right back below, this up here becomes a fake out, and those would be short setups, at least for me. Okay, but as of right now, we are seeing the market, break above this. So we have to go with what's on the chart, not what we think might happen or what we want to happen. So with that in mind, guys, we've got resistance up here right around 1.35. Now, if you look here at the pound, okay, going on here to the weekly, what you're going to notice is that we have, in fact, I'm going to go to the monthly on this as well. So we've got these lows back here where if you anchor a parallel level off of these lows, okay, so specifically this one back here, we've got this low and this one. So taking those three lows, if you draw a parallel level across this high up here, now it doesn't line up all that well back here, okay, but it does come pretty close. But the fact that we have these three lows right here with a perfect trend line across them and the parallel level up here at this high, I do think that this is going to be something to watch here over the coming days and weeks. So if we look at this here on the daily, this gives us an area right around, okay, 134.50 up to about 1.35. Okay, so this entire area up here is going to be one to watch. This is going to be a critical resistance area for the pound. We've got support coming in down here again, right around 1.314. So right now, support down here for the pound, resistance up here. Again, though, if these markets fail to hold above areas like this next week, then that would confirm some fake outs. All right, so the EURCAD isn't one that I talk about too often, but I do want to mention it because of this trend line here. Also, the range that we've seen from this market over really several months and even years, we are seeing the market trade just above this mark up here. So right around 1.5115 or so, we're seeing it break above that area. However, this is something to watch because of the fact that this has been a range now. If you go back here to the lows in January 2023, you can see where this has essentially been a range for this market for quite some time. Now, what's interesting here is that you can see we got a sweep of this low down here, and this is our range high. Okay, so this was the range low down here. We got a sweep of that. This is the range high. We've now seen a sweep of this. Now, in my opinion, this is not a short just yet because we haven't seen the market break down from this trend line. So if I get rid of this just to clean this up and move in here to the daily, okay, this is the trend line specifically that I would like to see break down in order for this to become a short. Because as of right now, this is going to be key support for the EURCAD. Now, you might be wondering why try to short the EURCAD? Because we're seeing the euro strengthen and the Canadian dollar also strengthen, which you're right. You don't want to pit strength against strength. However, the technicals here are really nice, specifically this trend line and that range we just talked about. So if we see the EURCAD break below this trend line here, look at it on the 4-hour, you can see that so far today we are seeing a bounce right there from that key area. So if we see this breakdown next week, then this area up here becomes resistance and we could finally get that pullback down here into some of these lows, this little pivot through here, right around 1.492. But again, there is no short setup here without a confirmed breakdown, because as of right now, we have an uptrend. The market is holding above this trend line right here. So in my opinion, there is nothing confirmed here to short. But if we do get it, you've got this range play, and then you've also got this breakdown from this trend line here, okay? Furthermore, there is an imbalance down here below this recent low. So we'll see if we do get a pullback here from the EURCAD. For now, though, this is just a watch list item for me. And last but not least, we have gold XAUUSD. So this might look a little crazy at first, but it's actually quite simple. This is something that we've talked about in the VIP area all week long. This area down here, right around 24.75, that has been support based on several factors. So the first one being that we have the top of this channel here off of these highs. Okay, so we saw the market close above it here, and so this was going to be key support, and so far it is holding up. Now, furthermore, you can also see that we have a horizontal level off of these recent highs, right? So simple breakout here, close above, new support. Okay, now at the same time, if you go in here to the 4-hour time frame, you can also see that we have a short-term channel that's developed, and we've also talked about this in the VIP area. In fact, I just told members that this area down here was key support, okay? So a breakdown from there would have been bearish, but of course, we're seeing the market just bounce here from this area with further US dollar weakness. Okay, so for now, the area that I'd keep a very close eye on for gold here going into next week, and we talked about this recently as well, but I have fine-tuned it a little bit, and that's going to be this area right between 25.55 all the way up to about 25.70 or so. And the reason for that is that you can see here off of these lows. Okay, so this is very similar to what we just talked about, where you could draw a trend line off of these lows here, and that wouldn't be wrong, but you can take it a step further and connect it with this high up here. Okay, so draw a parallel level off of this high, and you do get an area up here in this area. And you wouldn't be able to find this, otherwise, because this is essentially breakout territory for gold. It has never been this high. So there is really no resistance area up here in terms of key levels unless you draw a parallel off of some of these highs like this. And knowing that markets love symmetry, I do think 25.55 to 25.70 is going to be a resistance area to watch. Okay, so potentially, something like this here for gold, as long as it stays constructive and stays above this area, right around 24.80, then in my opinion, we probably get a move up here into this area next week. Okay, so maybe a little pullback to start the week, but then, eventually a retest up here in this area, maybe some consolidation, and then potentially a pullback from there. All right, so no guarantees of that, of course, but, given the current structure, I do think, again, 25.55 to 25.70 is going to be the one to watch. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP, claim your 90% off lifetime access. See the link in the description, or if you're on the website, click on that join VIP link. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday.